and so to the Feast of the Ascension. I find it a bit of a mysterious sort of a feast. Folks, I ask of you to try to avoid that sense of Jesus going up. You know, the old Ascension Thursday feast we used to call the Feast of the Disappearing Feet, didn't we? We don't know whether heaven is up or down or across or surrounding us. Our first reading, thank you Michael Lynch, simply sums up as Jesus says, it's not for you to know the times or dates that the Father has decided by his own authority, but you will receive power from the Holy Spirit, and then you will be my witnesses throughout the world. Yes, all over Templestowe and even as far-flung as Mount Eliza. The reading concludes with this dynamic call to action. Don't stay staring, looking up into the sky. Get on with it, for crying out loud. I believe that at this time of unsettling through the virus, it's a very good scene for you and me also, because there is an uncertainty, isn't there, about our economy, about our church, about easing of isolation. Stay at home, go out, have no more than 5 people. Funerals can have 20 people. When will we be able to have more people? When will Sunday Mass come back? When? We don't know. It's simply the situation, and we say, what are we doing and what's going on? I had the great privilege a long time ago, 30 years ago in fact, of being with the great man Dick Wesley, grandfather and theologian, who reflected in his course on this Feast of the Ascension. And I would like to just quote a little bit from Dick now, please. And Dick says, you can just imagine how abandoned and confused they felt. They must have looked at one another and asked, what are we going to do now? They had been with Jesus for 3 years. It had been an exciting time, and they thought it would never end. And now it was over. They were once again on their own, with only memories of Jesus, of his words and his promises. And they missed him oh so much. Still standing there on the side of the hill, with their mouths open, looking up into the sky, feeling very small and very sad, this ragtag group, says Dick, this ragtag group of women and men was already church. So what did they have that made them church? It's instructive, says Dick, to note what they did not have. They didn't have temples or altars. They didn't have a hierarchy or a pope. They didn't have a marriage tribunal. They didn't even have the scriptures of the Gospels and the epistles. They would be written 40, 50, 60 years later, wouldn't they? And yet they had all that is necessary to have church. And then Dick Wesley corrects himself and says, oh no, that's not quite accurate. They had all that was necessary to be church. And what was it that they had that made them church? They had 4 or 5 things. And I suggest that we too have those things. Let me go through them. An experience of God with us. A story. God is smitten with us, unconditionally loving us. A dream that things will be right amongst peoples. They had each other, a community. How many times have you heard me say there is no such thing as private religion, folks, huh? And they had a goal, a mission. They, like us, were sent as witnesses. I believe that there is a growing sense and understanding of us being church, and that awareness has brought out an articulation of a need for change within our church. Our plenary council gathering and all over the world, other gatherings called synods are calling for the same thing. And it's very interesting to me so often the way similar requests are being made. If you don't believe me, have a look at our website senseofthefaithful.org.au. I believe that change is possible. I have this hope in me. And maybe I'm mad, but I believe that hope is a very important virtue. Do you remember last week in the first reading, St. Peter said to us, always be ready with an answer when people say, how come you still have hope? Well, I think today's gospel, folks, has an answer to hope. Remember that passage of the gospel at the end that Fiona proclaimed? Having Jesus say, and I'm with you always to the end of time. They are the last words of Matthew's gospel. And what are Matthew's gospel's first words? Ta-da! They are Emmanuel, God is with us. The two bookends, if you like, of Matthew's gospel speak of the consoling presence of God. So may I suggest to you that no more than the original disciples does any one of us, the baptized, have an excuse to stand around looking up into the sky. May today's Feast of the Ascension and our preparation for next weekend's Feast of Pentecost drive us to action. Thank you.